Well, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Music and Conversation. I'm laughing because I've been away from it for a couple of weeks, and I'm still got to push a bunch of buttons over here, and I pushed the wrong button. But hey, that's live for you right there. Very excited to be back. I took a little time off to get married. That's right, and excited to be back with a dear friend and somebody that I have known for many, many years. And we have a few things in common that we'll talk about. But without further ado, let's bring him in. My pal, Boney James. Are you there? Let's see here. Boney?
I'm here. Can you
Oh, you're there. Okay, good. So how you doing,
can
buddy?
you hear me? I'm here. Okay.
We could hear you
Thank you
freezing
so
up a little
much.
bit, but
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
of course, of course. It's so funny because we were talking about how
I'm
we
getting
all
that
had to learn.
too.
What's that now? Is it freezing up a little bit on your end, or Boney?
It is. It's freezing up a little bit on my.
Okay, internet speed, perhaps. All the things we have to learn here. Um, it's freezing up a little bit. So, this is the thing we're dealing with is with internet speed and other technical issues, and it can be tough. But
Playing too. That would be.
let's see here. Let's see here. Boney will come back. But welcome to another edition. Yes, I did get married last Sunday and had a beautiful wedding. I'm very, very excited to to be married. And let's see here. Boney might
Am
be
I there?
back. Yeah.
I
Okay.
have you,
There you are.
Michael.
There you are. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I got no audio.
No audio. I'm wondering why.
I'm gonna try and leave and come back.
Okay, there you go. Okay. All right. So, yeah, how are you doing? Let's see here. I'll take a look at a few comments here before hopefully, Boney will come back with um, a, a signal that we could all see him and hear him, which is very important. So, yeah, how are you doing? How are things going? How's the summer going from you? I'd love to see some comments here. Welcome back. Well, thank you very much. And see here, Abby, love your song. What is it? Love your song. Michael Linton, thank you very much. Hey, Boney James. Yes, we need Boney back. Where is Boney at? He's coming in here, I think. So bear with me while we figure this thing out here. Let's see here. I see him.
I'm
Boney,
trying to come back.
I am seeing and hearing you a little bit. Can you hear me
Can you?
okay or no?
Am I back?
Yeah, it
Yes,
might
it's a
have to
little
do
better.
with.
I think this connection.
Okay, all right. Boney, this is what we're dealing with, internet stuff and technical stuff. Isn't it wonderful?
This is our new world, man.
This is our new world. And it's funny
But I
because we
can
were
see and
just
hear you
on.
now.
Great, great. We were just on chatting before the show started, and it was absolutely perfect, right? And then all of a sudden we go on, and it's not. And
It's
I would
probably
even,
just Wi-Fi.
yeah, it sounds like it's just a Wi-Fi thing. But how you doing? How you feeling, Boney? Hmm. Let's see here. Yeah, that could be a little tough here.
Doing very great. I'm doing great. I had a
Oh,
show in Atlanta a couple of days ago. Second show.
yeah, it's a little tough to hear Boney. It's a little tough to hear you, buddy.
Oh, well, let me
Is there anything, are you connect?
try. I'll go. Hold on one sec.
Technology. You gotta love it. Well, it's hard for me to do an interview when my interview partner is not on, but so let's see.
Let's see if
Let's
this.
take a couple of comments here. Let's see what happens.
How
Greetings.
about now?
Let's see. Boney's back. Is Boney back?
Can you see me?
Lorraine? I can't see you,
Can
Boney,
you
but
hear me?
can hear you a little
Am I
bit.
there?
Now we can see you. Yeah, let's see here. Yeah? Can you hear us? Or hear me? Yes? No?
I see you now. See you.
Yeah.
Can you see me? Hear me?
Can you try from your phone? Try maybe from your phone?
I'm I'm on
Can
my
you try?
phone. I'm on
Oh, you're on your phone. Okay,
my
and you
phone.
connected to Wi-Fi?
Yeah, I'm on my phone, and I just cut the Wi-Fi off, and I'm just on the LTE now. So this should be
Okay.
better.
Okay. All right. There you go. So yeah, it could be,
I'm hoping.
could be a. Okay, good. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? Great. It's like a skit. It's like who's on first. But Boney, it's technology is a crazy thing. But go back. How are you doing, my friend? How are things in Boney Land?
Things are pretty good. I just played our second show that we've had since we started back in. We played a show in May, and then over the weekend we played in Atlanta at the Maple House Amphitheater, and it was just so great to be back on stage
Yeah.
again playing with my band and to have an audience there. I'm still kind of on a cloud from that.
Right, right. I mean, it feels so good to be on that stage, doesn't it?
I miss it. I missed it.
Yeah, yeah. So, Boney, I know some of your earlier work, I should say, but I'd love to go back to really the beginning of Boney. Where I don't know this, but where are you from originally? I don't think you're from LA, right? You didn't grow up in LA.
No. I was born in a little town called Lowell, Massachusetts, outside of Boston. And I grew up mainly in New Shell, New York, which is a little town outside of Manhattan in Westchester County in New
Oh,
York.
okay.
And we moved
Sure.
to California. My whole family moved when I was in high school.
And when did you end up actually making your way out here to LA?
Oh, in my sophomore year of high school, my father's job moved us out to California, and that's when I became an Angelino, which I am totally now. I
Yeah.
love it here. I couldn't live anywhere else.
And were you already playing music before you made the move, or was that something that happened once you were in LA?
Well, I started playing clarinet when I was 8 years old in third grade, and I switched to saxophone when I was 10. So yeah, I had been playing saxophone for about 4 or 5 years by the time we got out here. And
Yeah.
I loved it. It was definitely still my favorite hobby to do then. I didn't know that I was going to be my profession at that point, but I knew that I loved it. And that music really helped me sort of connect with the new school and stuff like that. I got in the band, I started playing in a band, and that was the way really that I met people and was able to sort of transition to being in a new town.
You still play that clarinet?
I have not played the clarinet for many, many years. I wouldn't even know what to do. Do you? Do you play the clarinet?
Well, that was my first instrument too. So I know exactly what you mean. But
Do you have one? Do you have one? No?
I don't have it anymore. I did bring it over when I moved to America, and but years earlier, I had sort of, I hate to say it, but fallen out of love with the clarinet. I was not interested in the clarinet. Now, I will tell you something about it that was kind of cool. So, I did. I don't know where it is now, to be honest with you, but I did an album in 2006 called A Song for You, which was an orchestral. It was basically singer and songwriters' songs, famous, like Stevie's All in Love is Fair, or Still Crazy After All These Years, Paul Simon. And anyway, so the album was produced by Randy Waldman. And in one of our little conversations, he said, was saxophone your first instrument? I said, no, actually clarinet. He said, great, I am writing you a clarinet intro for Elton John's Sorry Seems to Be the Hardest Word. I said, no, you're not. I said, I haven't played it for 20 years. And he says, I'm writing it. So he wrote me a clarinet piece for that. And boy, did I have to practice to just make that work. But so I did actually play it on that album. But
I can imagine.
but anyway,
Wow.
so Boney, so take me. So you're now living in Los Angeles here, and how does you're playing sax, you're playing in bands. So how do you? What sort of is the next step for you? How, did the record deal come, or did you started touring with other sort of recording
Oh, no.
artists, or how did that work?
Yeah, well, I was playing in this one band, and we were a band, and we were trying to get a record deal. And I moved to, I went away to college for a year, but I missed playing with this band so much that I ended up transferring back to UCLA, and I was going to college in the daytime and playing with this band at night. We were, trying to write songs and get a record deal. And that went on for 4 or 5 years. And I graduated from college, and I was still playing in this band, and I was delivering pizzas to pay the rent, and just trying to figure out how you make a living as a musician. And I started to hear about auditions for sideman gigs. And so I went and tried out to be in Morris Day's band as the keyboard
Mm,
player. This was in 1985,
wow,
and I was 24 years old, and they hired me that day, and so that started
wow,
my career sort of as a keyboard sax playing for 7 years, playing a bunch of R&B acts and
yeah,
pop acts. I played with Sheena Easton and the Isley Brothers and
wow,
Morris Day and Tina Marie, and a whole host of things, and kept trying to break into sessions, and eventually I started trying to write my own songs because I
right,
missed really playing my horn as a featured instrument. And
right,
that's the music that I love. Is the music that I'm making now. So that was a bit of a process, though.
right. So the band you were what was the name of the band, by the way, that you guys were trying to get signed?
It was line one,
Line One?
line one,
And
and,
was
and
it was
yeah,
was it a
and there was there's another member of that band is actually a pretty famous guy now. His name is John Shanks, and he's become a very successful producer of
oh,
pop music. He
cool.
produced Van Halen and Bon
Oh,
Jovi. He's
wow.
actually playing guitar in Bon Jovi now too. So
Oh,
that,
amazing. Oh,
that was
wow.
he was like my very first songwriting partner when I was 16, 17, 18 years old.
Right. And then, so you're doing all these amazing gigs with artists, and I take it that that band Line One, you never made a record, right? Or you did make a record, or no? Yeah, it
No,
never
we
happened.
never. I think
So,
we had a record deal, and then it fell through, and I think I got a little disillusioned with that whole idea, and that's why I thought,
yeah,
well, let's try and do something else, and
right.
try and started playing around and just working for a living as a sideman.
Yeah. So this kind of leads me to, so you were playing with all these amazing bands, and then eventually you do get a record deal. And so how did that come about? Tell me about that, Bonnie.
Well, I was playing with Bobby Caldwell. Was really what happened. I'd gotten this gig with Bobby, which was I was so happy to get it because I loved his music, and it was a great gig for a sax player. There was a lot of featured saxophone bits in Bobby's stuff, and we went on a big tour of Japan. And just coincidentally, he had a guy named Paul Brown that was mixing front of house for him. Paul was more of a studio engineer, but Bobby had gotten him to agree to come and do this tour as the front of house engineer. And Paul was a studio engineer that was a sort of an aspiring producer. He had produced a few records for a very small record company called Spindletop, and he was working with a sax player named Sam Riney. And they were just about ready to make, like, I think, the second or third Sam Riney record for this little label. And Sam decided he didn't want to do it. And this was right when I was on the road with Paul, and he liked my playing and came to me one day and said, "Do you write songs, or were you ever interested in being a solo artist?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been, busting my butt trying to break into this because I had been making demos and trying to get, another record deal for myself as a solo artist." And then out of the blue, Paul said, "I've got a little budget to make this record for this little label, and we've just lost our artist. So, if you want to do it, we'll do it." And then, like, 2 weeks later, we were in the studio making my first record, Trust. That's sort of how it happened.
Well, let's see here. Trust. Would that happen to be this particular album?
That's the one, yes. Which is still, I think, a very, very beautiful cover. That was done by an art. The thing that the guy that ran that label, he was very much into cover art, and he worked very
Right.
closely with his art director named Larry Weigel, who was
Yeah.
just brilliant. And
Right.
I remember very vividly the day that we we shot that cover. It was two sort of models, and he had that whole concept of trust. Like the acrobats.
Yeah.
He saw
Right.
a
Right.
trapeze,
Right.
and that's kind of what that is supposed to signify.
Well, I will say your album covers has always been great. Even later on, I remember the one with was it a cut peach or an apple? No, it was a peach, right? Sweet thing.
I think it's a loquat. I think it's an
Okay,
exotic
well,
fruit.
it's an exotic
But
fruit. Okay, well, I mean, it just your album covers kind of inspire you to. It's not just you with a sound. It's like and you have done that too. But it's your album covers. When I see your album covers, it makes you want to make you think a little more. There's a little more to it, and why
yeah,
you guys chose, for example,
well, I've
trust.
always
Like
been a
why?
fan of that. That as an
Are you there?
I'm sorry, you cut out for a sec there, Michael.
No, I was just
Oh,
saying.
there
I
you
was
are.
just. I was just saying that you have always had strong album covers, really that makes you think. It's not. It goes so way beyond just what's on the cover itself. It makes your mind wander and think, and you can kind of get submerged in that while you're listening to the music. And your titles have always been this. A lot of times, if not all the time, you use a one-word title, right? Trust. Well, sweet thing was two words, but solid. It's strong. It says it's a statement. And I like that.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, I mean, I have played around a lot with the single word titles. I had some that I think I did send one, and there were a couple that were not that way. But yeah, I like having some sort of, I think a lot about the title and having it
Yeah.
sort of try and poetically communicate what I feel like the flavor of the record is. And then I definitely want the cover art to be something that has at least a little bit, some kind of a visual hook. And it's just a sort of fun, creative part of the process for me that I still enjoy doing, even though, the record companies now, they say, well, it's just a thumbnail. People don't even buy CDs. And I'm like, it's really important, I think, to have some strong visual hook. And I think that that's served me well over the years. And I think the label
Yeah.
seems to get it now too.
I agree with you 100%. So the one thing we really have in common is this the first time I sort of uh, met you or heard about you, and because I came from Denmark, so there was I was completely out of the loop, really. But one of my first professional gigs were taking over from you in Bobby Caldwell's band, and that's sort of when you and I started
Yeah, I remember.
getting to know each other, and I didn't realize that at the time, but these were really tough shoes to fill. Not only did Bobby love you and your playing, but so does his audience, and there's so much sax in those songs, and on that whole basically the whole show was you kind of Bobby's sidekick in a way, and he needed somebody many times to sort of take over so he can sit and play around on the keyboards and so on. And they were tough shoes to fill, and I knew I had my work cut out because you did such a wonderful job you put your signature stamp on Bobby's music for sure. And then, interestingly enough, a few years later, I kind of took over from you in Randy Crawford's band. That was one guy in between, but so that's kind of a cool little
Yeah.
history with you and I think. I mean, those were great.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I knew both of those facts, and it's pretty neat.
yeah. I mean, it was just. Did you enjoy doing those shows? I mean, I had a wonderful time doing those shows. Are you there?
Oh, both of those artists are great artists, and they have a tremendous catalog of music. And of the shows that I did playing as a sideman, they were my two favorites, just because the music was so great, for sure. But I got to say, by the time that I was making my first record, I was really ready to get into, I was super frustrated with that life, and it was really time for me to try and break out on my own. So
Right.
I'm very fortunate that I was able to make the transition, and it all worked out.
Yeah. And transition you made, Boney. But you know what's kind of cool too? This you probably don't know. So I made my first album in '97, and this was probably my first gig. I think I'm 100% sure this was my first gig when I think about it, as a solo artist. And it was. Do you remember this? Oh no, you don't remember this. So we did a show
I
together.
think I
You
saw
weren't-
this picture posted online already.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
think
I
I've
have it
seen
right
this.
here. This is backstage back in 1997 at Egypt in Philadelphia, Egypt. Remember that club there? I mean, and that was a cool thing because you had already gone on to be a big star in the format, and I was just getting cutting my teeth, and here we are together on my first gig. So that was a very memorable time for me, a moment for me. So I thought that was pretty cool. So you know what, Boney,
Yeah, it's a great picture.
I want to get to a little music because so earlier this year, as you know, I released an album called "Alone Together," right here, "Alone Together," and it's a collection of songs that I had originally done as duets on my stage show, and I actually remember calling you early on and asking if you would consider being a guest on the show. And you said, yeah, I think so, but I'm doing some other things right now and I'm releasing a new album, so let's circle back around a little bit later. And so we ended up doing that. I circled back around and you said, man, I'm into it, let's do it. And you had such a wonderful idea of doing one of your songs, because most of the time, you approach somebody, you kind of, yeah, we're doing this song, I have the track to play to for that song, but you're like, hey man, I have an idea, I have a song called Up All Night that has sort of saxes going through the whole song in octaves, and it could be a really cool thing. And I really enjoyed, it's such a different vibe from the albums that I make, but I love it so much, and it was so much fun for me to have this other experience of playing on a record. And not only did we do the duet on my stage show, but it ended up being a part of the record, and you very, very kindly agreed to be a part of this collection. And not only that, it's my current single from the album, and could hear it on XM and all over the world, really. But I want to play that video that we end up doing for my stage show, so people can see how cool this really is. So this is Up All Night.
All right.
Well, there you have it, Boney. Up all night right there. That's right. That's it's kind of fun. I was grooving and moving. um, Thank you for doing that with me. That was a lot of fun. That really was.
It's super fun to do it with a different version like that. It's really fun to hear you play on mic. So good job.
Well, thank you, Boney. Um, so I got to ask you, the hat. How did that come about? Such a signature Boney thing with the hat.
That was something evolved a little bit over the years. I used to have super long hair in that picture from the 90s, and when we play outside, often my hair would go into my mouth when I was playing. So I started trying to find hats to wear, um, just to keep my hair out of my face. And somehow I bumped up against wearing, these hats. I started with I think a beret, and then I've got a pork pie hat for that whole sort of sweeping body language era, and then I stumbled on the fedora. I don't know, a few years after that, and people always just really reacted well to it. They would just say, "Man, you look cool in that hat." So I reacted to the positive energy, and just kind of it became part of my persona when I play on stage now, and I sort of don't even feel like Boney James unless I'm wearing my hat.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super cool. It's so funny because I always love the look of people in hats. That you see, I mean, you see Frank Sinatra, and you see those pictures from Capitol Records. He's holding his hat and he's singing, or he's wearing it, or whatever. It's just super cool. And I always felt for myself that I look super silly in a hat. And why am I the only person in the world that can't wear a hat, and everybody else looks super cool in hats? Um, and then one day I went to a hat shop. I said, maybe it's just in my mind. Maybe I didn't feel my face looked right, and I couldn't quite figure out what hat I looked like. Either I looked like a cowboy, or it looked something. It just did not look right. Um, and then finally I walked into a hat store in Hollywood, and I found a hat that I'm like, you tilt it a little bit to the side, and all suddenly changes the vibe a little bit. And I love using hats now, sort of not all the time, but as an accessory. I've really loved it. And our video, we're both wearing hats, but I knew you were going to wear yours, so I purposely wore mine for that. I thought that was fun. But so Boney, we have a little bit of time left here, but how is just to touch on this crazy year and a half we all had, how did you stay sane and creative during this last year and a half?
Well, I don't know how sane I stayed actually, but it's been pretty wild. But I did a bunch of Facebook Live performances, and it was great just to stay connected to all the people that appreciate my music, and because I miss so much playing live for the people that come to see me, and it's like a community almost that we have. So it was great to sort of try and keep that going as best as I could. Um, During the first whatever year or so of the pandemic, I did like 30 some Facebook Live mini concerts, and then I took a break from that because I thought maybe I would try and do some writing, and I like to have a lot of space, just to be creative. So that's kind of what I've been up to for the last few months, just waiting for ideas to come for the next record. But I put the CD out solid. That took up a lot of time, just
Yeah.
trying to promote that, and now luckily we're getting ready to go play a bunch of shows. So I mean, I've got like 30 shows booked right now, um, and hopefully they're all going to come off. And people I hope are going to buy tickets and come out because get your vaccine and come to the show. That's what I'm hoping is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's hard to imagine. I mean, we imagined it because we lived it the last year and a half, but performing live is, and I've said this before, but performing live is as important as breathing to us. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, it's been really difficult, I always knew that I loved doing this, but I didn't realize how hard it would be to have it taken
Yeah.
away for the amount of time that it had been before, and the joy that I feel now the two times that we've been on stage. I mean, I knew that I loved being up there and playing with my band and communicating with the audience and how much I loved it, but I didn't realize
Yeah.
sort of how much a part of me it is and
Yeah.
how, I don't feel like myself not doing that. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to getting back and over the next few months that
You
we've
know,
got
it's
coming
almost
up.
like, in a way, I mean, of course, there's other things for us to do, like write music and record albums, but it's like when we don't have that outlet of going on stage in front of an audience, we feel it's like a fish out of water a little bit. We kind of feel it's awkward for us because it's such a part of who we are and the communication and the energy that we sort of all bask and live in. You take it away and you feel a big part of you is going away. So, I totally agree with you that it's a very hard thing to not be out there and do it. So I'm glad that we're somewhat back on the road, and it sounds like you have a super busy year, and I'm excited for you. And I hope they all play and we could get this pandemic once for all under control. We can move on with our lives and get back to what we all love to do. You released the album Solid during this last year too. Did you start
Amen.
writing again? Are you already thinking about a new album?
I I'm thinking about thinking about. That's how I put it. I've got every time that I get a little idea and I just file it away, and I'm just in that sort of collecting ideas phase. So I can't say that I've really started working on a new project yet, but I'm ready for inspiration to strike. And every now and then I get a little idea and I kind of just
Yeah.
file it away. And once I get a certain amount of those, I start poking into them and see what I can turn it into. And that's usually my process. So I'm at the very, very super, very baby stages.
Okay, well, that's exciting. Your music inspires so many, and including myself, Boney. You have your own unique style, and every time I hear, I don't think I've ever heard a bad Boney James song. With all of the music that you have created, and I have heard, it is always top notch, on spot on. So I congratulate you for your consistency and for your amazing work, both as a songwriter, as an artist, and a producer too. So I really, you're unbelievable, and I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy to be your friend, and it's been excited to see what happens, over the next many years too. I'd certainly love to do more with you, but for now, I want to thank you so much for being a part of Alone Together, and the fact that we have a single together on the radio right now is kind of fun too, So it's a good thing, man. So I really appreciate you, Boney. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for all the kind words, man.
Of course. And I mean it. I really mean it from the bottom of my heart. But tell us, before we leave here, Boney, what's the best way to sort of keep up with you? What is it? Obviously, your website, social media. Tell just the people where the best place to find you.
Yeah, if people go to boneyjames.com, that's sort of the one-stop shop. There's links there to all my other social media accounts, and then we've got a store there now, so we're selling some fun merch. And boneyjames.com, it's got the tour schedule too, where all the places will be playing, and links to buy tickets and all that stuff. So I urge people, if they're interested, to go to boneyjames.com and see what's up.
Okay, Boney. Thank you so much, my man. I appreciate you taking the time, and I will hopefully see you soon.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Take care, everybody.
My pleasure. Take care. There you have it. Boney James, incredible saxophonist, producer, songwriter, and all-around good guy. Boney James. So so a couple of things before I sign off. I might take a little time off from these here. I'm doing a lot of stuff going on. I'm back on the road myself. Will be in Seattle this Sunday. So if you are in the Seattle area or want to come and see me, and by the way, and my buddy Paul Taylor, saxophonist, we will be at the Jazz Alley in Seattle this Sunday, one show. So come on down. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're very excited to be, and neither Paul and I have actually ever played at Jazz Alley. So that's what's next. And then I have a very, very busy September month with lots of touring. Actually, end of August, I should mention, Colorado Springs, Weekend of Jazz. But then September, we are in Atlanta, Charlotte, and Castleberry, Florida, Boca Raton, Florida. But go to michaellington.com for a full tour schedule. And by the way, I will say this. I would love for you guys to be on a priority notification, be a part of the community. And there's a really great way to do that. And that way you'll get all the new stuff and all the information first. And if you take out your phone and just send me a text. So go to your text and just put in 797979 where the number goes. And then where the message goes, you type ML Sax, and you'll get a little message back. And then you just follow the instructions and sign up, and you're on the priority list, and we can stay in touch. And lastly, I will not have a staged show this coming Sunday, a live stream show, because I'll be in Seattle. So not possible to be in two places at the same time. But the week after, I will be back on Stage It with another edition of my Stage It show. This time I'm going to play my favorites, the songs that I have recorded that are my personal favorites. I'm going to play them for you, and we have a very special guest. The best way to get you, it's a pay what you can, but you still need to get a ticket. And I'm very proud to say that I've done over 50 shows on Stage It, and they have all sold out. So get your tickets before they sell out. Go to michaellington.com and grab a ticket. Pay what you can. So we'd just love to have you there. So take care, and thanks so much for tuning in for another episode of Music and Conversation.